Vinny in Moscow, Pennsylvania, Democratic caller. You are next for Congressman Warren Davidson. Go ahead.
Yes, I'd like to find out, why did you guys just keep talking and talking and talking? And that goes for the Republicans and the Democrats. You keep saying that it's the insurrection was a loving, peaceful day. Where? Ask those police officers, was it a loving, peaceful day and with hugging and kissing? No. And now you're talking about, how come you don't talk about the people? Talk about the people, what you're going to do for the people, not what you're going to do for yourselves to regain power.
Vinny, what are you referring to, though, specifically? Do for the people. The bill that they're trying to pass. Okay, the social spending bill.
What are you going to do for the people? Not for the taxes. You keep talking about taxes.
Okay.
Let everybody pay their share.
Got it, Vinny. So, Congressman, what are the Republicans' proposals to help out with some of these social safety net programs?
Yeah, thanks for that question. Look, to clarify, what do Republicans want to do? Well, in general, we're for more freedom and less government. What does that mean? That the federal government doesn't need to tell you what you can and cannot do. There shouldn't be a one-size-fits-all approach to government. And frankly, the federal government confiscates a massive amount of America's wealth and then lets states and communities grovel for some portion of it back. Why? Because that increases the power of this city. We need to diminish the power of this city over American citizens, and we need to increase the power and presence of the American people around the world. Since the Cold War ended, America's presence on the global stage has been weakened. China's has been elevated. And the way that we've done that, it's undermined America's domestic economy. We've grown China's economy with our policies instead of growing America's economy. So what could we do? We could deal with trade, we could deal with tax policy, and when it deals with the safety net, the best safety net is a job. So we should do things that promote, workforce participation. And then lastly, when you look at the safety net, I've got a bill called the People Care Act that would reform it so that you'd get 4 Republicans, 4 Democrats, they'd get a year and a half to work together. They would look at the 90-plus safety net programs that we spend $1 trillion a year roughly on. So for reference, we spend about $750 billion on defense. We spend about $1 trillion on a safety net, just poverty assistance. And without cutting any spending, you could reform those programs and get rid of things like benefit cliffs, where if people get a raise or a promotion or a job, then they lose, say, their federal housing subsidy. So you could have an on-ramp and an off-ramp that helps people actually participate in the economy. So there are things like that. And I'd say the last thing is on infrastructure. Republicans have proposals to take the billions of dollars, tens of billions of dollars, that are already at state and local governments from the COVID response, the $6 trillion that was already created and distributed throughout the country, that haven't been spent yet. In Ohio, that number is over $5 billion. Communities have millions of dollars, and all of it has strings attached to COVID. And yes, we're still in the middle of a pandemic, but states and localities since May of 2020 have said, we can't spend all this money on what you told us to spend it on. Could we have some flexibility? If you gave them maximum flexibility, they could do infrastructure with the money they already have. And there are Republican bills that would do that. We're just not going to be able to get a vote on those bills. So I would love to vote on them instead of talk about them. But when you're in the minority, you don't get to schedule things for a vote on the floor.